Hey everybody, Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of our Top 10 Songs. Today we're going to look at the most requested band that you guys have been asking for me to tackle, and it also happens to be one of my favorite bands of all time, the U.S. progressive metal giants, Kansas. So, as I've seen from the last couple shows that I've done, another very, very hard band to just kind of pin down 10 songs, but that's the focus of the show. That's what we're going to do. I put together a list, so of course, as I do with all these, I look at every album, I pull out my favorite tracks off of each album, put together a master list, and then I kind of whittle it down to 10. This one, very, very difficult as well. I mean, this band, especially their material from their first album, through, for me, like the Monolith album, pretty damn stellar albums, all of them, with a couple in there near perfect albums, specifically like Point of No Return and Left Overture. Man, you could have picked any song for either one of those, but Song for America is great. The debut album is great. Mask is great. It's some really strong stuff. I love the Monolith album. The Audio Visions album is pretty damn solid too, and there's some great tracks from some of their later stuff. Their most recent album, Prelude Implicit, also has some really stellar tracks, so a lot of really good tunes. I've got my top 10. I've got a pretty lengthy honorable mentions, which I'll run through at the end, so if you don't hear your favorite in my top 10, fear not, you might hear it in my honorable mentions. So, and again, one of those lists where I feel pretty strongly about the top 10 list, but if we were to do this exercise again 2 or 3 weeks from now, I might pop 1 or 2 out or 3 and put others in their place. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, let's get started here. From the Point of No Return album, coming in at number 10, Lightning's Hand. A great track that I always really, really liked. Of course, the Point of No Return album was the first album that I ever bought from Kansas. I actually bought the LP when that first came out. Probably, when it all comes down to it, probably the first prog band that I ever get into, I guess. It was kind of these guys, Genesis, Yes, and maybe if you classify some of that early ELO, because I was big into ELO at the time. But really love the Point of No Return album still to this day. It's pretty damn perfect through and through. I love the Lightning Tan. It's kind of heavy, sung by Robbie Steinhardt. Some great violin and guitar duels going on in there. Really cool Hammond organ from Steve Walsh. Great song. Next up, we're going to go back to the first Kansas album, the self-titled debut for Balexis. Another kind of majestic, great prog track from this awesome band that's coming in at number 9. Next up, we're going to the Left Overture album, the other album that I deemed to be pretty much a perfect album. Those were 2 albums, back to back that just can't miss. None of those tracks are weak at all. Magnum Opus. That's my number 8 song, and it is indeed a magnum opus. Okay, I take a quick water break, guys. Magnum Opus coming in at number 7. A classic epic from the band. Sorry, that was number 8. Number 7, Miracles Out of Nowhere, also off the same album, Left Overture. You're going to see a few Left Overture tracks in this top list. I love the vocal harmonies in Miracles Out of Nowhere, and it's another spectacular performance from Steve Walsh on the vocals, as well as some great keyboard work from him and Kerry Livgren, and great guitar work as well. Next up, number 6, back to the debut, Journey from Maribyrnong. Cannot go wrong with that song. Debated putting that a little higher, but there's some great stuff coming next, so it was kind of hard. I shuffled some of these around, but Journey from Maribyrnong, man, another just really stellar, long-form, extended piece from the band, who were, really, early in their career, really doing a great job at doing, these, 7 to 12-minute long songs, really, really knocking them out of the park. Next up, from the Point of No Return album, probably my favorite song from that album, really always has been, is the gorgeous Closet Chronicles. Man, I just love that song to death. Just the vocal melodies are just intense, and I love the keyboard work on that. Just a great, great song from a great, great album. That's number 5. Coming in at number 4, the title track from Song for America. And I really debated putting that a little higher because it's holds a very special place in my heart. It's just so majestic and so grand and regal. One of their best tunes, if you ask me, and another really, really strong, solid album. I think Their debut, I think, did fairly well. Not a huge seller, but I think it was like Song from America that really started to kind of put Kansas on the map as a, really viable, important prog band. And of course, they would, then Mask, but they really blew it big with Left Overture, obviously. Speaking of Left Overture, coming in at number 3, another gorgeous song with more amazing vocals from Steve Walsh, who probably was one of the best vocalists of the 70s, The Wall. Love The Wall. Just love it to death. Man, what a soaring prog epic that is, huh? Just amazing, amazing song that they still play live to this day. Coming in at number 1 and 2 are 2 songs from the same album. Ironically, an album that has not seen any other songs pop into my top 10 list, but there's a lot of strong ones there. And I kind of debated which one was going to chart higher than the other because I love them both to death. And there are some days where I like one a little bit better than the other, but man, I just love them both. If I could put them in as a tie for number 1 and add another track onto this list, that would be perfect for me, but I'm not going to do that. So coming in at number 2, Sweet Child of Innocence. Love that song. Man, I love that riff. I love the Hammond organ work in that tune. I love the vocals of Robbie Steinhardt in there. It's just a rampaging, great, heavy prog rocker. Always love that song. As is number 1, and I'm sure you've guessed what it is. Icarus Born of Wings of Steel, also off the Mask album. Just a great, great song. Again, another really hard-charging prog rocker from Kansas who always showed that they could mix like kind of very melodic, almost pop-style vocals that are so memorable with hard rock riffing and lots of progressive rock touches, and elements, from the bombastic keyboards and the guitar, keyboard, violin interplay, little bits of classical here and there. Just an amazing band that just had a very, very unique sound. When they came out, there's really no one sounding like Kansas at all, right? And they've just continued to do great things for many, many, many years, and they're still out there doing it today. So that's my top 10. We'll revisit that in a second, but for now, let's take a look at my honorable mentions, because you're probably wondering, what else has he got up his sleeve here? So we're going to go from the first album through to the most recent album, all my honorable mentions from those albums. So let's start back from Kansas. How about Abraku and the Death of Mother Nature's Suite, which those two kind of like blast into each other, right? So I almost kind of always look at them as like one long, like 15-minute track or 16, whatever the hell it is. I love both of them. Man, that's great stuff right there. How about Lamplight Symphony? Okay. How about The Devil Game? Lonely Street. Incomodro, Hymn to the Atman. All right, that's some Song for America stuff. Love those. Mysteries and Mayhem, right? The Pinnacle. Carry On Wayward Son. Great tune. As overplayed as it is, I still like hearing Carry On Wayward Son. Opus Insert. Okay, we're looking at some Left Overture stuff here. What's on My Mind? Cheyenne Anthem. How regal is that? Questions of My Childhood. Another great one. Yeah, Left Overture, man, is just top to bottom perfection. The one thing about the first couple albums, so the debut, Song for America, and Mask, they did a couple kind of like boogie tunes on those first couple albums, which are really good, but that's not great Kansas for me. I like those tunes, and a couple of them are kind of heavy and rocking, but each one of those albums had like at least one or two of those. They kind of got away from those later on in their career and just did pure prog, and that's why for me the Left Overture album and the Point of No Return album are like such near perfection, because there's not really any of that kind of stuff, just wonderful melodic kick-ass prog. Where did I leave off here? Let's go to Point of No Return, right? How about Paradox? I almost had that in my top 10. In fact, I did, and I kind of, the lightning's hand pushed it out of it. The Spider, great instrumental. Killer instrumental. I wish they did more stuff like that. Portrait He Knew, another great anthem from the band that I really wanted to squeeze into my top 10. I don't have the title track in my honorable mentions, although I do like it. I just like a lot of these better, and I just didn't want to list everything here. Sparks of the Tempest, another great one from Port of No Return. What else we got here? Hopelessly Human, another great song. Let's move over to Monolith. How about On the Other Side? Always love that tune. Kickoff track. Angels Have Fallen. That actually was also in my top 10, and it got nudged out. How My Soul Cries Out For You. Great heavy rocker. A Glimpse of Home. Love that song. I really like the Monolith album, as you can tell. A very underrated album. Stay Out of Trouble, another kick-ass heavy rocker from that album. Over to Audiovision's Relentless. Good hard driving rocker to kick off that album. Hold On, another song I wanted to squeeze on my top 10. I just love Hold On. That's got some of the best vocal melodies of any Kansas song. Curtain of Iron and Loner, some more great heavy rock tunes from the Monolith album. How about Play the Game Tonight and Crossfire? Okay. From the Vinyl Confessions album. How about Fight Fire with Fire from the follow-up to that? I'm not a huge fan of that album, but I do like that song. Let's go to Power, Silhouettes in Disguise. Tomb 19, Power, and Musicato. Really good debut with Steve Morse. I like that album a lot. How about to the Freaks of Nature album? Black Fathom 4, Cold Gray Morning, Desperate Times. Okay. Even later stuff. How about Icarus 2? Okay. Strong song. Nice sequel to the original. And from the Prelude Implicit, how about With This Heart? I really like that tune a lot. And The Voyage of 818. So some really strong stuff there. I mean, literally, there's very little Kansas that I don't like. A couple of those 80s albums are kind of not very strong top to bottom, but I do like them. But I don't love a lot of the stuff on there. So you'll see most of this is like 70s stuff and early 80s and the more recent material, which I kind of like quite a bit. So let's recap my top 10. All right, starting at number 1, going to 10. Number 1, Icarus, Born on Wings of Steel. Number 2, Sweet Child of Innocence. Number 3, The Wall. Number 4, Song for America. Number 5, Closet Chronicles. Number 6, Journey from Mariabron. Number 7, Miracles Out of Nowhere. Number 8, Magnum Opus. Number 9, Balexis. And number 10, Lightning's Hand. From the band Kansas, my top 10 favorites. Curious to know what yours are. I'm sure you're going to be busy popping them in to the comments and feedback section here on the YouTube channel, so I want to see them. And let us know what other bands you want to see top 10s from. I got a lot coming, guys. A lot. There's so many that I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to try and get to as many as I can each week. And like I mentioned in a couple of videos before, I've got some time off for the holidays coming up, so I'm going to pump out a ton of these. So get ready. But in the meantime, this is on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We got all sorts of great reviews and features and concert reviews and all sorts of stuff there, so go check it out. We're also on Twitter announcing a lot of this stuff. Of course, we're on Facebook. We announce all this stuff on Facebook. Sometimes we do content specifically for the Facebook page, including our daily polls, which if you haven't gone and liked our Facebook page, you're missing all those fun polls every day. In fact, we've been doing some Kansas versus Styx stuff lately. Today we got a Genesis versus, I usually do a lot of album battles or band battles. Today we got a Genesis versus King Crimson album battle from 1981. Last couple days we've done some Styx versus Kansas stuff. I've gone to like specific release dates and done album battles, but we do all sorts of stuff. We do guitar player versus guitar player battles, keyboard player versus keyboard player. So look us up on Facebook, all right? And like the page, and you'll get access to all these cool polls, and I want to see you voting and commenting on it. So anyway, we'll see you real soon, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Bye-bye.